We've been live.
We've been going at it.
We've been live the whole time. I didn't even get my can.
Yeah, love this. Look, please do not swear. There you
Don't
go.
say fuck or bugger. Isn't that what they say? Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Well,
do
how
we
are
say?
we?
I don't even have my can, Paddy. Don't even have my can. I'm going to get my can. I'll slug it out of the can.
Go and
Diaby
get
signs, everyone. Diaby signed. Look, we don't even have everything set up in the background. This is what's called. I don't even know what I said. Now you got me all worried about what I said in case I said anything.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what you said there now. But you definitely
I'm
went
going to be
live
on.
before I came in then, did you?
Must have. Yeah, I'm going on the piss tomorrow, so that's what I was saying. We would get delighted to get this one out of the way, beforehand. But how is everyone getting my can? I got a can. I'm after cracking up my can.
Yeah,
I can
and
drink my
something we
can
haven't
here.
done in a long time, Neil. Here it comes. There we go.
That is.
It's Saturday night.
It
And
is Saturday
you get
night,
news like
exactly.
this, albeit it is 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Philadelphia, where I've been getting photographs all day from friends of mine, absolutely steamed out of their conkers. So, yeah, it's a good day for Aston Villa. We've broken our transfer record. Well, it will ultimately break our transfer record with this one. And
Paddy, I'm just going to jump off for 2 seconds there. Actually, there's just I see. I won't be 2 seconds, so just in case you're wondering where I'm going to.
go ahead. Yeah, so we've potentially broken our transfer record, believed to be £41 million, approximately €50 million in total with the add-ons. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see where he fits into this team, where we play him, what impact it's going to have for the likes of Leon Bailey to have one of his mates there. It really, really is brilliant news, and yeah, I'm sure everybody. So. Oh, Neil is playing with my microphone, I think, but I think he has a couple of connection issues there. I'll get to a couple of comments if there's any there. Yeah, Rub P says, yes, great news. Absolutely great news. Martin Leonard says, I was the ITK on this one. Martin, I often get told stuff that I never bother saying and never comes true. So we'll call this one the lucky one. Yeah, Neil threatened to cut it up Thursday night, and I asked him to wait because just in case it went wrong. But look, we got there ahead of the Saudis. It's absolutely brilliant news for lots and lots of reasons. But football is well and truly at the forefront of Diaby's mind with this move. There's no way going to Saudi Arabia at this stage of his career would have been a good move for him. No one can tell what the longevity is going to be like in the money in Saudi Arabia for this league if it doesn't work out. So look, he's there to buy into our project. He's there to get his international caps, which is, I'm sure, what he wants at this stage of his career. And yeah, I think we can all relax now, enjoy it, and wait for the next one. Doesn't look like I'm getting Neil back in, do I? Are you there, Neil? Nope, he's not there. Let's see if we have any comments before we get him back in.
I'm back.
Get your can, boys. You were already live. Yes.
I was in my haste. Yeah. So sorry there, guys. Yeah. In my haste to go live. I was sitting
the minute
here.
this is over, you're going to go back and clip that, whatever it was.
Oh, yeah, well, it's okay. I've just got a text message from someone saying, you didn't say anything bad. All you did was you grunted into the microphone when you were turning on your lights. So I went, oh, that's okay. Well, I don't know what we would have said bad anyway, but that's all it was. But what was I going to say? The reason I was at my computer and the reason we were able to go live so quickly was I could just about hear what you were saying there, Paddy. My headphones went in and out when I had to run into the house. But I was clipping up that clip that you mentioned you were talking about. I was clipping that up. And I had it and I put it as an unlisted short. And do you think I can find it in my YouTube account now? It's just gone somewhere along. But I'll pop it up again after this. I have it. It's just a case of putting it up as a YouTube short. But yes, Aston Villa, this has been 7 minutes in. This has been wild, but it's Aston Villa breaking their transfer record. Some big business Aston Villa have done. Lots and lots of people. I've been speaking to quite a lot of people in uh, Get German Football News website. I know one or two people. I've spoken to them before about players. As you guys know, look, I look at players. I try and do some scouting stuff on players and so on, and I do reach out to people for players that maybe I come across from a statistical point of view and they look good, and maybe I don't have that much knowledge of watching them or whatever, and I reach out to them and say, listen, what's this guy? What's the game with this with this person? And I love doing it, and it makes sense to kind of reach out to people who've watched them more because obviously the watching 2 or 3 games, you might just pick their 3 best games, but the reason I bring that up is that I was speaking to somebody recently, and I'm hoping to get them on the podcast in the coming days, hopefully sometime next week, to talk about Moussa Diaby. But they said that he's an extremely talented player. You guys might have seen Claret and Blue last night. I thought if you guys haven't seen Claret and Blue podcast, you know us here. We promote all the other podcasts. We think that they're all fantastic. There's a place for absolutely everybody here. And they were speaking to his name escapes me, but he gave a really good rundown of Moussa Diaby as well. Go watch that. Also, Frankie on the All Villa No Filler podcast as well. He spoke to somebody as well from the Bundesliga. Go watch that too if you guys want to get all your Villa fix as well. With regards to this, but myself and Paddy have really just been speaking about this one from where we kind of feel he is or how he's going to fit into Aston Villa. And as I say, you called it first of all, Paddy. We were calling you in ITK, but what I was thinking was that it could be Paddy's really interesting choice knowledge. That's what we could call it. And we could shorten it to PRICK. It'd be perfect, I think, for a hashtag. And I think it will work. But you did get wind that we had agreed a fee on, I think it was Sunday when you texted me. I think it was last Sunday. Yeah, it's nearly a week ago now, actually. You texted me and goes, Diaby, exclamation mark, get your video done. That's what you said to me. So I took it as gospel at that stage.
And I took it as gospel too. And look, let's preface all this by saying the only reason he's only arriving today is that they're very nearly got the work permit over the line. He didn't actually get there, even though he's in America now with the team. He will train with them after the game tomorrow. But they never got the work permit over the line. But that should be done and dusted by Monday in time for him to make his debut, possibly on Wednesday. If he's up to fitness, I'm not sure where his fitness is at. But that's where it is. That's what took so long this week. I couldn't say that earlier in the week, but that is what was going on. Thankfully, we seem to have got there in the end. Just get that work permit over the line and see him wearing the famous claret and blue this week, or who knows, maybe even unveiled Monday or Tuesday in the away kit.
Absolutely. Well, there's a picture.
That's not inside knowledge either. That's just purely a guess.
Well, there is footage, or there's a picture of him and Unai up on, and they do look like they're in some sort of a hotel in the United States. And while I must say Unai's lovely polo neck, or not polo neck, polo shirt looks class, and I think I will be purchasing one. I'm not quite sure I'm going to be purchasing the training gear that Diaby's wearing. To me, it doesn't look great, but fair play. It's nice to see him in the shirt. And as I say, it's big news for Aston Villa. This is going to be, like, it was the litmus test. I think a lot of people were saying. Sorry, actually, before I went off on my tangent about scouting and going to watch Claret and Blue and Frankie and All Villa No Filler. The text messages I was getting from people in that I speak to, just like people that other podcasters and stuff, was this is a litmus test of, are Saudi actually the real deal, or are they going to be a threat? And you guys might have seen some of the messages I've been sending out recently, and it's do you know what? I hate the fact that we can't talk about our record signing without having the whole, have to bring in the Saudi stuff into the conversation as well. But I think we have to, because if a team like Aston Villa, who finished 7th in the Premier League, can still be more of a draw than the Saudi, than like €250 million in the Saudi league, or whatever he's going to be paid, that's good for football, I think. And essentially that's what the text messages were. I got a text from an Arsenal podcast as well about this. We were talking about him. They were saying that they were interested in him, that they had done a piece in him but never released it because it never became official about their interest into him. And they were like, "Oh my God, you guys are stealing the march on us. We were too busy trying to sign Declan Rice." And I was like, "Well, Declan Rice is fairly handy anyway. So he's exactly what you need. I don't think you need somebody like a Diaby. So stop robbing all the wingers and leave us have him. Thank you very much." And they were very much of the opinion as well that the inflationary kind of aspect of football transfers, this whole transfer window, has come from Saudi, and it has come from the Saudi market, and they think, and also from Chelsea. Let's not beat around the bush here. Chelsea playing Pokemon, at the moment, just trying to sign every single player. And I know they've got some good money for the players they've let go. There is an inflationary aspect there as well. Like today, Paddy, there was some kind of absolutely flittering rumor out there about Watkins going to Chelsea. If Watkins goes to Chelsea, I'll eat my own face on live on a podcast. I'll find a way to do it. He's not going to go to Chelsea this transfer window. It's just not going to happen. But Chelsea are linked with everybody, and Saudi were linked with a load of players as well. And because you've got that interest of teams that they know have a track record of spending money, or that they know have like 60 billion to spend, it drives the market up. I'm delighted to say this guy. I couldn't care less about the price. That's where I'm going with this one. I really don't care about the price, but I want him to be. I want him to come in here. I want to be able to see what he does.
Stato was asked there: Is it confirmed that our record signing? What did I mention the figure the other night that I was told 41 million? 41 million.
You didn't mention it in the podcast, as far as I'm aware, but you mentioned it to me afterwards. I think you said 41.
Okay. So he may not be our record signing just yet, but including add-ons, 41 million, approximately 50 million euro is the price tag that was on him. So they managed to negotiate. I'm sure Monchi was at the center of that over the last couple of weeks. But I think it's safe to say that he will do well, will score goals, will possibly win a trophy with us, hopefully, will continue to play in Europe with us, will play for France, and they're usually the stuff that will mean that you meet up all of the joint dots to reach the 41 million pounds, which would make him. But how long will he be our record transfer for? That's the question, because we could see more happening in this summer.
Absolutely. Seems that we're linked to Jeremy Docker. We won't get into this. I always stray into other people that we want to talk about. I always do this in podcasts. We're talking about a specific target or a specific signing. Somebody asked a question there about who's going to play for who's going to fill in for Jacob Ramsey on that left hand side. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that we see Moussa Diaby playing over there. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that we see Leon Bailey move over there. It's not
Philippe Coutinho. Yep.
Exactly. It's not beyond the realms of possibility we see Coutinho play over there. It's also not beyond the realms of possibility that we see McGinn shift over there and we see Tielemans on the right hand side. I watched, or I Betmate had a thing up today, kind of with Chelsea's, Arsenal's, and Man United, Arsenal's, and Man City's midfield options. And I put in Villa's options in there as well, and I actually went like realistically, City's options were, I think, De Bruyne, Rodri, which are two fantastic options, don't get me wrong. But then they had like Calvin Phillips, they had Peroni, the guy that they signed last year, who could turn out to be really well. Like, I don't know if Calvin Phillips is still an actual Premier League football player, based on because we've seen nothing from him last season. I looked at a Villa squad and I went, we have a lot of players who can fill in a lot of positions that can really, like our midfield, if we got an injury in midfield, I wouldn't be really bothered about it at this moment in time. And that's even with, I still think that we will sign another central midfielder / attacking midfielder at some stage today, this off season as well.
There you go. He can play anywhere. I watched the video last night of a guy talking about the amount of time, even I think he played one game at right back at one stage for
he did
for his former club. So yes, and played the full game and apparently played very, very well, and they were calling for him to stay there. But anyway, alas, he's not that type of player. I don't believe we'll ever see him playing in that position. I don't think we have anything to worry about there. But I definitely think that he could play off the left with Tielemans on the right, or McGinn on the right or McGinn on the left and him off the right. It just gives us so many options that we only dreamed about when we were playing the same 11 week in, week out under Dean Smith a couple of years ago. With and again under Stephen Gerrard when we started to pick up injuries and stuff like that. So it's all about squad depth. It's all about getting this, and I'm delighted they've got him in before we kicked off in America. I really am. To get him in there with his teammates, training in America, magic stuff, absolutely magic.
And it just goes to show, Paddy, as well, you like the club is thinking ahead here. Like the club knew this was done. So what I've interviewed Fabrizio Romano. I've emailed Fabrizio. I've been in email contact with Fabrizio Romano because of his contracts and stuff like that. He's been unable to come back on the podcast. I think I might have been the last fan podcast he was able to do before he re-upped his contract at CBS. I think that's what he mentioned to me recently because I was trying to get him on. But Fabrizio is a good guy, and as I say, I've spoken to him quite a few times, and he's been on top with this. He's been on the money with this. He's even called out other journalists with regards to this. Rudy Galletti he called out and he said, "Look, this is not, what you're saying is not true. It's not the case. It's not what's happening with this deal at all. Aston Villa are still very much in the mix with this. We saw an awful lot of Saudi accounts with like 300, 400,000 followers say that this was a done deal to Al Nassr. It couldn't have been, and as I say, when you mentioned it to me last Sunday, Paddy, and we're not, look, what we're saying here is this podcast is not a podcast that likes to break news. That's not the game we're in. We're not in the game to break news or anything, and that's not what we were doing when Paddy mentioned it the last time. But when Paddy said it, he said it with a degree of confidence because it was beginning to murmur out there as well. But the fact that he's in the United States now is, it to me means that like this isn't a thing that's just been like 2 days ago that this was signed or that Villa had won the race or convinced him. He was convinced ages ago. The teams were shuffling it out between the two of them, and he had his bags packed ready to go when he needed to. And that's where Villa are boxing at the moment, and that's fantastic to see. This is a new Aston Villa, and long may it continue, because as Paddy said, we could see a couple of more people join. I wouldn't, maybe not join the squad in the United States, but be here waiting for them when they come back, I suppose, and hit the tarmac back in BHX.
Yeah. Look, hopefully we get that work permit over the line. That's the only thing that was holding it back. As I said, everything was agreed, everything was done, and I presume that's just what they were waiting on to announce it. And they probably left that little bit too early, being leaving there on Wednesday. So he's there now. That's all we needed to see. He's holding that short, and when someone is playing international football in the last couple of years, you've no real need to worry about a work permit. It's just a question of dotting the I's and crossing the T's, really.
I think so too. And we spoke an awful lot about, and look, we said it as well, because I suppose really there was definitely parts of me there was a lot of me that thought Stephen Gerrard would have pulled on players. And when we signed Coutinho, we went, that's a Stephen Gerrard pull, for that player. And at the time, it was the biggest name signing Villa had ever made, and probably is from a name point of view. Unai Emery also has pull, and he's pulled because players will look at him and go, this guy's a good manager. This guy could get me playing well. I could fit in with his system. How many players has he elevated? Especially for a 24-year-old looking to get into that French squad, playing under a tactician like Unai Emery, going to play for somebody who is a good manager in his own right as well, Didier Deschamps, who also thinks about the game. That is an influence on international managers and people who pick international teams as well. So it's going to be interesting to see if he does. And look, it would be some achievement for him if he does break into the French squad as in the starting 11, because it's just packed full of stars. But he obviously believes that this is a step for him to do that, and fair play to him, because as I say, managers like Unai Emery are few and far between, and we're just lucky to have him too.
Yes, indeed. The club have just released another picture of him hugging Unai Emery, which is quite of a funny one. But it's for him personally, and it's going to be a very uncertain season if PSG hold on to Mbappe and leave him sitting in the reserves. It gives him an opportunity to be in and around his position within the French setup, and look, if he's playing Premier League football regularly, he will definitely be one of the ones that will help, and hopefully not in time for the time they play Ireland in September, but hopefully be one of the ones that will help the French team qualify for the Euros next year. So I expect to see him in around it. I absolutely expect him to be a success. And yeah, cheers.
Absolutely. Cheers. This is great news to get on a Saturday night. Um, I was supposed to be putting together a double buggy inside, and I slinked out and I said, I'll be back in a minute. As I left and I came out here, I said, I'm not doing that. I'll do that later on tonight when everyone's gone to bed. And I came out here to cut up the as I said, that last podcast that we did, so that I'd have that little clip which I've just found there as well. And I'm delighted I did, because the news broke, and
I can't remember what I said. I'm worried now.
we could have, you gave out about other teams tapping up players and stuff like that as well. So I left that in as well, Paddy, because that's it's the context that I love you to bring to our conversations. But I'm just saying that if at any stage you see a sharp object come straight towards my head and then my feet just cut, it's probably because I should have been putting together a double buggy inside. But this is more important than my children's safety of travel at this moment in time. There's plenty of time for that as well.
Safety travel will all be sorted by the time they wake up in the morning, so there's nothing to worry about.
I do have another 9 of these in the fridge, Paddy. So we'll see. I don't know, but their travel will be sorted, but their safety of travel may not be very safe. I have an early bus to get tomorrow morning. I think I can get a bus at 7 a.m. to get to Dublin to see the All Ireland final. So I'm glad they announced it tonight. That's what the whole start of the podcast, or false start of the podcast, should I say, was, because I was like, Jesus, I'm delighted it broke tonight, because there's no way I was doing this on a bus going up to Dublin tomorrow to watch the hurling in my Limerick gear. So yeah, that is good. A couple of people, do you know what? Are we, like last year, it was a funny one, Paddy, because I just see a couple of people here talking about his height, and Bundia's height, and Bailey's is no giant either. Last year we didn't actually have, like, our team wasn't exactly that small. I remember remarking when we were going down through like who scored during the previews, I'd open up who scored and I'd see, and they've got this interesting piece. It's the average height of their starting 11. Now, that's the starting 11 that who scored pick. And we were always in and around the average of all the rest of the teams. But 5'6", 5'7", we've got about 3 or 4 or 5 players like that. And do you think that that's a concern, Paddy, or do you think we need to kind of marry people in and around there? Or do you think that maybe that might be something that the Unai Emery might want to address with a player or two?
I think that it makes very little difference to our team. I think the most important thing is that we are competitive in the air. If you look at how we set up from set pieces, we're gone past the days where John McGinn was picking up the biggest player on the pitch. We're much more organised with that kind of thing. The ball usually under Unai Emery stays on the deck. So what height you need to be to play the ball on the deck? As somebody who's vertically challenged myself, I did okay from being the height that I was at. So look, once you've got heart, once you want to do your best, once you give 110% every time you cross that line, if we have the height within the midfield, within the central defensive positions, there's nothing to worry about with the height for our attacking prowess. Albeit, it would be nice to add one more big striker up there, just to mix things up when needed. It hasn't been our style for since Tammy. Tammy is the last big striker we had up there. It just, for me, that's one cog missing, just to mix things up if we're struggling, to have someone in there to put that ball across to get on it. And let's face it, Ollie Watkins has done quite well with headers this year. He scored a few goals. Since he came into his own, since you and I came in there, absolutely. Cameron Archer, no problem scoring goals with headers either. Didn't see a header, I have to say, in all the videos I've watched of Diaby. Not to say that he hasn't, but I haven't seen him score any headers. But I don't think that's his game. His game is just about pure raw speed and power, and I'm okay with that.
You know now what's going to happen, Paddy. People are going to think we're signing Vlahovic after the way that you said, one more big striker, the way you said it, and after you said previously, I think that we're going to break our transfer record again, or this may not be a transfer record for long. What have you done, Paddy? What have you,
Look, just one swallow doesn't
Latvia.
make a summer. I got one. I got one right. I got one right. So yeah, I will put my hand up and say yes. I knew this was going to happen. I don't know anything else was going to happen. Just by pure luck that I found this out during the week. But it's great to have him. Wesley is back around. Not for long. He's on the way out.
He must be
100%
on
on
the
the
way
way
out
out.
as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So
Anything else?
so is Keenan, by the way, before someone brings him up.
Keenan Davis. Yeah, did I see somewhere recently Keenan Davis might be on his way to Celtic? I'd love
Yeah.
to see that. I'd love to see Keenan Davis and Kyogo together above in Scotland. I think he'd be probably be a revelation up there. But I think I saw that somewhere. I think him under Rogers would be absolutely fantastic. It'd be great because, like, he's by all means, or by all accounts, he's a fantastic person.
Absolutely.
I'd love to see him go on and have a very, very good career. I really would because he trudged a long road with Villa there for a while, and he was kind of brought in around the squad, and he was brought on in probably not the most fortuitous situation for himself, but he never let the side down, albeit he was kind of castigated a lot of times after his performances and so on. Managers believed in him, and he always believed in himself, and he went to the championship for the last 2 seasons and started scoring goals, and more power to him now for the rest of his career, I think. More power.
Very, very likable guy. A lot of players have a lot of respect for him. Just not up to the level we need him to be at. Unfortunately, that's through no fault of his own. He's a good championship player, Scottish Premier League player. Who knows? He might get into the lower ends of the Premier League. I've no idea. But if we are to push on and try and win a competition this year and get into higher than 7th, and remember, 5th place gets you Champions League football this year. With the expansion, albeit we then have to play. I think it's 8 matches, isn't it? The new Champions League structure will be 4 home and 4 away. But look, that's way down the line. I'm just talking hypothetically here. We need players of the quality of what we're signing: Pau Torres, Yuri Tielemans, Moussa Diaby, a couple more in there, and I'd be very, very happy, especially that big centre forward. Part of me, and don't shoot me for it, part of me would love to see Lukaku come in on loan for the season. I think that would be one amazing thing to happen this year.
I knew you were going to say it, Paddy. I knew you were going to say it.
So there you go. I've opened the can of worms. Everyone will lash me in the comments for it while Neil hides under the table. So yeah.
Do you know when you're watching X Factor, or back in the day when you used to watch it, when people used to watch X Factor, and that fella would come on at the start and he'd be raw, useless, and you'd know he was going to be by the look of him, and then slowly you'd start to pull the jumper up over your, you get this cringe factor. I cringe when people start doing things like that. I got a touch of that feeling before you mentioned Lukaku, because I could see the comment section go mental in my mind. So that's why I went in.
I honestly don't think too many people will be that disappointed if we took him on loan for a season. I really don't.
I wouldn't, but the internet is a place where it's almost more difficult to kind of regain your reputation than it is to lose it. And I think a lot of people will remember the Champions League. Was it Champions League final? Yeah, it was last year, where Lukaku could have not only just drawn the game for Inter, he could have won the game for Inter, but he kicked, like, one of them hit off him, and then didn't he had a header or something like that. He had 10 minutes to forget, if memory suits me, or serves me right. So I think that'll stick long in a lot of people's minds. But the fees and the wages and everything that come with him would just be eye watering, I think. But
that's why I said on loan.
On loan, yeah, maybe so.
I think it'd be a worthwhile risk if we didn't get the striker we needed in this window. I still think that's the one thing we're short. I think we might possibly sign a young right back as cover, but definitely a big striker is what I need.
Look, this is the John Steele doesn't like
John
you're a
never
good
minces
man,
his
Paddy.
words. No,
But
absolutely. I'm surprised he hasn't actually sent me a text at this
Paddy,
stage. But
get a
there.
grip, man. I could get another hour out of the comments in this one, Paddy. I could. But no, in fairness, look, it's when we're talking about a bigger striker, I think that we will see another striker come in here. Although we've linked to Jeremy Doku as well. Michael Huggins is with Paddy on this.
There you
Good
go.
stuff. I wouldn't be averse to it. I'd like to, like as I say, I could see a lot of exasperation with that signing, just because of what he's done the last 2 seasons. It hasn't been him.
Yeah.
2 seasons prior to that, he was absolutely immense. The 2 seasons after, not great. So it's just, I suppose it's a recency bias thing as well. But that's not exactly a bad way to look at somebody who's 30 years of age either as recency.
Yeah. David makes a good point here. Football is all about taking risks. We've taken enough of them. Look at the 3 risks we took to replace Jack Grealish, and neither of them were a Jack Grealish type player.
Exactly.
So here we are after possibly breaking our transfer record, which we would never have believed we'd be in 6 months ago, when we were looking down the barrel of another relegation battle. Now we're in Europe. Now we're signing these amazing players like Pau Torres, like Yuri Tielemans, Boubacar Kamara's in there. We have, as you said earlier about that midfield is as strong as you're going to get in the Premier League.
It's just it's got brilliant depth, I think. And I'm not okay. Obviously, when you put it up against those players, they're going to have 1 or 2 players that are obviously better than the players we have in midfield, and that's not the discussion. The discussion, I think, is the depth that we have is really good at the moment. You go outside Man United's first 3 in midfield, and you're into the Freds. Like if we signed Fred, would Fred waltz into our team? I don't think he would. He wouldn't.
No,
McTominay. I actually really like Scott McTominay. I think I'm one of the few people, but I don't think he gets in this team. So from that point of view, you go outside the Casemiros, you go outside the Ericssons.
Yeah.
Man United's midfield starts to drop off in quality very, very quickly. Same with Arsenal's. You go outside the Odegaards, the Declan Rices, the parties that they have there. For that central midfield position. It kind of drops off a small little bit, and as I said about City, they've sold off a lot of their players in midfield. Yes, they've got Brozovic in, or was it Brozovic or was it Kovacic? But
Kovacic,
it's they do have a fantastic midfield, but the depth that we have in there at this moment in time is really heartening, I think.
I'm laughing at all the risks that are being named in the comments. Tony Cascarino, Bosco Balaban.
Bosco Balaban, David Platt was a risk. Do you know what? If we're talking,
John Carew was a huge risk, and look what he did.
Massive
risk.
Yeah,
Peter Crouch was a risk that failed, unfortunately. He'll say that himself, Peter Crouch. In fairness to him, look, every transfer that's made in the world is a risk. The amount of money and liability at the end of it, I would imagine all our accountants look through gritted teeth at everything that comes across their desk. But we've done really, really well to get where we were with the team that we have. Just imagine what these few signings are going to do for us. Just the pressure it takes off some of those players who were probably out on their feet by the time we played Brighton on the last day of the season because they just had zero competition. But there we go, David Stiles. The biggest risk of them all was the greatest of them all.
Yeah.
And Lewis, yeah.
Absolutely, it was a huge risk. And look, I'm just going to say it because you know me, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut when we talk about risks and potential prospects, specifically when Paddy threw out Lukaku. I have to have a rebuttal to that. If we are going to take a risk, let's blow about 35 million on Marcus Leonardo from Santos in Brazil. I've said it 12 months ago. I think this guy's going to make it in Europe, and I think he's going to be fantastic. Now he's not that big striker. He's only like 5'9", 5'10". I don't even think he's 5'10", but he's my tip. And if anyone watched, I think it was it the under-19s or the under-20s World Cup for Brazil, he was absolutely flying it for them up front as well. So that's my tip. If we're going to take a risk, let's get in our South American and let's make bubbles because we missed out on the likes of Julian Alvarez last season, who went for pennies in the dollar. Really, when you look at it at the moment, 80
doesn't
million
play.
or something like that. and doesn't play. And
Yeah,
that there's another thing. Hey, if they were going to loan him out, I'd certainly take him on loan for a
100%.
year, and
Not
I'd
that
have
not
no
that they give them
problem.
to you. I don't think
Not that they give
anybody.
him.
I don't think anyone around the top four is going to give us any favors this transfer window.
This is it.
Um, but look, we've spent big here. I expect one more. There is going to be a lot of outgoings over the next couple of weeks. So when those start to filter out, he is going to have to pad the squad with potentially players that he's been looking at over the years, schoolboy players coming through the Spanish network. Maybe you wouldn't know what Monchi would have up his sleeve. There's obviously a few more targets in there that he would like to get. We all feel that another backup goalkeeper is important.
I don't.
I mentioned Tom Heaton not so long ago. That cog has turned, and they've brought in another goalkeeper, so that could be coming down the line. Who
I
knows?
suppose that one kind of really depends. It really on if Dean Henderson, I suppose, gets his move to Forest. You'd imagine he
Exactly.
will get his move to
You
Forest
would
as
think
well.
so. You would think so.
Yeah.
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 But I guess it all depends whether they replace him or not in the meantime. So, does he have the trust of Tom Heaton? I don't know.
I know. Yeah. Great backup. Don't get me wrong, Tom Heaton. I
Yeah.
definitely take him. And when I said I don't think about I mentioned in a previous podcast that if we came to deadline day and we hadn't signed the backup goalkeeper and Olsen was still here, the only way I kind of want to bring in a backup goalkeeper, I don't want to tie up funds or wages into having somebody along with Olsen. If we get rid of Olsen, yeah, sign somebody and bring back Brad Guzet, someone like that, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think the
I-
whole thing about having the likes of Tom Heaton or an English backup goalkeeper is it counts to that one of those 8 players that need to be there.
We're and we're fine for that as it is. We will be fine for the 8 players. It's the 4 homegrown players. Like then, do we sign Benjamin Siegrist from back in the day, or I saw someone on Twitter make a call about Victor Johansson as well. He's playing with Rotherham, I think, at the moment. You know, do we bring him in as our backup goalkeeper? You know, so there, and he would count towards one of our homegrown players as well, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I think we're okay with the homegrown players that we have ourselves. Like we have the 2 Ramseys, we have Archer, we have Josh Feeney, who's just signed a contract. So like there's a lot.
Feeney hasn't been here 3 years.
Has he not? Okay,
No,
yeah, but I bet you could pick another
that's
one.
You could definitely pick another one like Tommy O'Reilly. You could have said
yeah.
You know, we can find somebody in there, all right. But if we had a goalkeeper that was going to be our second choice goalkeeper, it frees up another spot in the I suppose in the squad. I think so. That's why a lot of players that's why Scott Carson is there for Man City. That he's in there because he's you know he counts to the 8 English association trained players. You know,
exactly.
So
Neil, somebody's looking for me to have an old rant on a Saturday night, but I'm not biting. Not biting on this one.
No, that is not biting on that one. I would go so far as to say if we were to do a Mount Rushmore of Paddy's most hated players, Kasper Schmeichel would be on it. For anybody who listens to the podcast,
second.
will know
He'd be second on it.
He'd be second on it. Yeah. I think he knows why. All right, we're talking a bit of nonsense here, I think, now, and we're here for 40 minutes, even if the first 4 or 5 minutes of this podcast were absolute. Do you know what? You guys who got to see it now, you're the lucky ones, because that is getting edited out. Didn't even play an entrance to it, so that will be getting edited out after this podcast. But listen, thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Didn't think we'd do 40 minutes on this. I'm delighted to drop tonight because tomorrow I'm going to be enjoying myself for the whole day, and I'm going to enjoy myself for this evening as well. And in the knowledge that Aston Villa have made a really good signing, a signing that other big teams outside of Saudi wanted to make, and that is a good sign that we're now shopping in a different department store now, which is always good to see as well. Paddy, any last words before we leave?
No, all good. Look forward to seeing what Diaby does. Look forward to Romelu Lukaku joining the squad, as I said.
Don't do it, Paddy.
Look, I just picked that out of the sky. He had been linked this week. It was a spurious link. It was just a joke more than anything else. I would like to see a big striker. I think there is times of the seasons where you need a big striker in there to do a job. I think there is 20, 30 minutes to go in a game when you need a bit of hustle and bustle in there, someone to hold the ball up for you. That's what I was getting at. If it is Romelu Lukaku, so be it. If it's not, I'd love to see a big striker in there. That was the point I was ultimately trying to get across. But absolutely delighted with the business, delighted to get it done, get the work permit over the line, and hopefully we see him on Wednesday playing against Fulham. Fulham, is it? Fulham Wednesday?
Fulham.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm going to do something that I never do as well, because I speak about Limerick and I speak about Limerick GA an awful lot. GA is an association here in Ireland. There's two sports, just Gaelic football and hurling. This is for all our non-Irish followers. Tomorrow, the county I'm from, the county I love, the county that I would lay my life down for, Limerick, are playing in an All-Ireland final tomorrow to win 4 of them in a row. Something that is, I think, you'll only be the 3rd team ever to do it. If you guys don't have, like, obviously, if you guys don't know this sport and you're looking to pick up another sport, or you're looking to watch something tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, this is on BBC tomorrow, Paddy. Throw it on BBC tomorrow around 3:30 and shout for Limerick, and hopefully they'll win, and we can all enjoy it again then on the team sheet tantrum tomorrow night, when I am 3 sheets to the wind. And if you think the start of this podcast was bad tonight, tomorrow night's team sheet tantrum could be anything. There could be, I could have a black eye or anything tomorrow if Villa, or if Limerick win. So throw it on BBC tomorrow around 3. I think it's 3 or 3:30 tomorrow, and you guys will be able to see it. Let me know what you think of it. It's a mixture between war and hockey. That's the best way to describe it.
Lacrosse. More lacrosse than hockey.
Lacrosse and war. Right, so
But
there's definitely war in there somewhere.
What's the game they play in Scotland?
Shinty.
Shinty,
yeah, exactly. Shinty next, yeah. But listen, yeah, so that was a little piece for me. I've tried to get into the Ashes because a lot of you guys watch the Ashes. A lot of English people are interested in the Ashes. Believe me, this is a lot faster than the game of cricket. So if you can get on board with cricket, you can get on board with hurling.
What's this Ashes thing you're talking about? Is that this? I've been reading a book on the couch all evening here, right? And there's English people losing their minds over a game that's played on grass that you can't play in the rain. Yet they're playing it in fucking Manchester. What the fuck?
Paddy, you've already mentioned Lukaku. That's going to get us, like, people are going to unsubscribe because of that. And now you're going 2-footed in.
I should hope they'll see the funny side of it. I know nothing about the game, as I've said previously on this podcast, but I just can't understand why you'd play a game that can't be played in the rain and played in Manchester, where it rains 99 days out of 100.
Paddy, have you ever watched Wimbledon? Can't be played in the rain either. So it's but that's a good game.
At least Wimbledon put a roof on the centre court, so you'll always have action to watch every day.
Yeah, I suppose you are right. Anyway, now we're really rambling. Listen, thanks so much everybody for watching. Here's to the Musa Diaby era. Here's to Aston. Here's to getting to see him over on the United States tour. We specifically haven't spoken about the tour because we're going to keep it for the team sheet tantrum tomorrow. Paddy's going to be leading it, and I'm going to be the court jester as usual in that one tomorrow. But more so, should I say, tomorrow evening. I'll be doing it from the side street in Dublin somewhere. But I'm looking forward to it. So join us tomorrow night for our team sheet tantrum before Villa play in Philadelphia. And
in Philadelphia.
We'll be delighted to have you. So thanks very much, everybody.
You got it wrong, Neil. It's Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. It was sitting up there. Why didn't I think of that before? Sitting up there. Anyway, good night, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.